reason to. So there are indications that he himself is from a Jewish background. Certainly his army, the 70,000 coming from Isfahan, they're from Bani
Persia.
Israel as well. So yeah, so the Jewish world will not accept any Messiah unless he's Jewish, right? So that's a sine qua non. That's like a really important necessary condition of the Mashiach in Jewish tradition for him to be from Bani Israel. And so another interesting aspect of Jewish messianism that a lot of people don't know is that Jews are actually, in the Orthodox tradition, are actually waiting for two messiahs. There are two end time messiahs. Okay, so there's the Mashiach ben Yosef, the Messiah, the son of Joseph. So this is an end time Messiah who is a descendant of Yusuf alayhi salam from his son Ephraim. So his father is from Ephraim, the tribe of Ephraim, which is Joseph essentially. And he will come to the earth first, and he will actually be defeated by his enemies. And so this is stated in the Talmud, this is stated in the Midrashim. This is part of Orthodox traditional Judaism. And there's some indications of him, like in Zechariah chapter 12, that Orthodox authorities claim or descriptions of him. So the Josephite Messiah, he will fight Gog and Magog, and they will kill him. He'll die. He'll be martyred by Gog and Magog. What's really interesting, I just perhaps I can read this. There's a short passage in a book that I recommend called Zionism: A Brief History by Michael Brenner. It's a short paragraph. I'll just read it real fast. It's published in 2003. So he says that in Semlin, that's Serbia, Yehuda al-Kalai, a rabbi born in Sarajevo, wrote a series of treatises for the Jews to return to Palestine. At the same time, in West Prussia, Thorn, Rabbi Zvi Kalischer was citing biblical and rabbinical texts in his Drishat Zion, Seeking Zion, 1862, to demonstrate that the salvation of the Jews would result from human efforts and would not depend simply on divine providence in the Messianic age. So this is this idea again. Rabbi Kook would pick up on these ideas in the early 20th century, that we can get the ball rolling for the Messiah. We can start moving back to Palestine and doing the work of the Messiah, cleansing, the land and things like that, and then he'll come. So he continues, and would not depend simply on divine providence. I read that part. Kalischer contended that the colonization of Palestine could begin at once. That's the bid'ah right there. It is noteworthy that both rabbis, one Sephardic, Al-Khalai was of Spanish-Portuguese descendant, and the other Ashkenazi, Kalischer's origins were in Poznan, which is Polish, who thought and argued so traditionally were profoundly affected by current political developments. Al-Khalai regarded the traditional Jewish idea of the first temporary Messiah from the house of Joseph not as an individual, but as a kind of Jewish national collective, end quote. Okay, so there's a strong opinion now that the Josephite Messiah is actually the current state of Israel. And Rabbi Tovia Singer takes this position, and that what happened on October 7th is actually the death. That's considered the death of the Josephite Messiah. So now the door is open for the more important Messiah, the Davidic Messiah, to arrive on the scene. And in Jewish eschatology, the Davidic Messiah is not defeated by his enemies. There's a few things that he'll do. One of the things that he'll do is that he will rebuild the temple, the third temple. As I said, I don't think there's any indication in the Hebrew Bible of a third temple. Everything in Ezekiel, Jeremiah, etc., is describing the second temple. Why would they skip the second temple and go straight to the third temple? So I think that's a little bit of, kind of interpretive, distortion, and kind of ad hoc exegesis to kind of contend with, the destruction of the second temple, which they did not see coming. It must have been talking about a third temple. The Messiah will also basically fight something called the Milchamat Adonai, which is basically like big time wars, Malachim, right? He'll purify the greater Israel, Israel proper. He'll institute the Torah as the law of the entire planet, and he'll basically be the king of the whole world. Okay, and then he'll usher in an era of peace. Um, so, from our perspective, the Dajjal, right? Initially, he's gonna claim to be a prophet, and he's gonna
Mhm.
claim to be the Messiah. And I think a lot of what he'll do will be very convincing for many Jews around the world. But when he claims to be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I think he'll lose a lot of support. And in fact, it seems likely that many Jews will actually defect from his ranks and believe in Isa alayhi salam as the true Messiah.
Messiah.
And I think a lot of Christians as well. So Isa alayhi salam will rectify the Ahl al-Kitab. And the Quran says, وَإِن مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ وَإِن مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا لِيُؤْمِنَنَّ قَبْلَ مَوْتِهِ. Uh, um, I don't know if I quoted that right.
إلا ليؤمنن
That
به قبل موته.
no,
Yeah.
Jazakallah khair. That there will be none of the people of the book left except that they believe in Isa alayhi salam, right? So the commentators of this ayah, they say the meaning is that, yeah, initially there's going to be some tension and resistance to Isa alayhi salam, but he'll show convincing proofs that he's the Messiah, and especially when the Antichrist claims to be God. I mean,
Mm.
that's just that's a non-negotiable for at least the
Could it
Orthodox.
be too late by then? After you've given him so much support and you've believed in every one of his miracles and everything, it could very well be too late for them to
It could be
backtrack.
they, yeah, I mean, they could be convinced that he is because he's going to do certain things. Whether he has supernatural abilities, like real supernatural abilities given to him as a fitna by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
Mm.
or it's kind of smoke and mirrors, right? It's just kind of
Mm.
sihr, or it's a, sorry, it's a type of like, kind of sleight of hand, maybe just technology. It seems like he has
Possible.
access to some incredible technology that's going to fool a lot of people. But the majority of Zionists, by the way, who identify as Jewish, are not religious. So I don't think they're going to care if he claims to be God at all.
Mm.
The Dajjal, he has control over resources.
Mm.
He has control over the skies and the crops and the seas and things like that. So I think for the majority of them, they just won't care what kind of supernatural claims he's making.